Hey, boys and girls, last day of writing. We are on 4.06 of fifth grade. And so today we are at the revise and editing stage. And I hope I don't forget, we're also what the Buzz system calls the publishing stage. I'm going to go ahead and say on slide 6, Buzz talks about publishing. Normally, after we have all done this, and if we're not typing it out, if we're actually handwriting it out, our paper is kind of messy because of all the changes and corrections and different things. And so when they say a published piece, they just mean creating a clean copy, a final version with the perfect paper, the end of the accumulation of everything that you put forth. Since we're using Google Docs, we don't have to really worry about it. As soon as we make our corrections and change everything, we have a nice clean copy. And so that is our published piece. There's nothing, we don't have to retype it on another Google Doc or anything like that. We're just finished. But on slide 6, when Buzz mentions publish your paper, you're published as soon as you're finished when you're using a Google Doc. So I just wanted to be clear on that. So anyway, I'm on slide 5. Today we are revising and editing. Again, the Silver Creek way of revision, we use what is called ARMS. ARMS is going to help us with our revision techniques. And so a couple of the big things that we want to do when we revise our paper. One, we want to whisper read it or read it out loud to ourselves. We want to read it, and if we're struggling to read it as the writer, our readers are going to struggle even more. So we have, if anything doesn't make sense or it's jumbled up and it just doesn't sound right, we need to go ahead and fix it. And so that is part of what we do when we revise. Why do we read it out loud? I mentioned this about 25 days ago, the first time we went through this, but the reason why is our brain likes to play tricks on us because we were the person writing this paper. We think we wrote down what was in our mind, and what we actually put down on paper may be different. And so if we're not reading it out loud, our brain will play a trick and we will actually read what we thought we put down instead of what we actually put down. By reading it out loud, it helps our brain not to trick us. And so if we read it word for word and we notice something does not sound right when we actually say it, we need to fix it. And so that's one reason why we read it out loud. The other two things that we need to check while we're doing this today is we need to check our 5 senses. Taste, touch, smell, hear, see. How many of those have we used in this paper? We probably need to use a few. That way it has plenty of details in it, and details help keep the reader engaged. The other thing it helps is it helps answer the reader's questions because, again, you're painting a picture with the word. If they can see it, hear it, smell it, taste it, etc., they're probably going to be more engaged and understand what's going on. Now, I understand that taste might be tough, especially with a car and a tractor, so you might only get 4 this time. That's okay. 4 is good. So see if you have plenty of those things. The other thing that we do is the who, what, when, where, why, and how questions. How many of those can you answer off the paper that you wrote? We need probably 4, maybe 5. Because the more of those things that you answer, the more details that are in your paper and the reader is going to understand more. So we want to make sure that when we're going through this revision stage that we have many of those accomplished in it. The last thing you want to make sure that you did is to state your sources. If you're one of the people when you're reading it, you don't see source 1 or source 2 or the titles of the 2 articles, you need to go put them in. That was on your prompt right here in front of you on my screen. It has your prompt. Actually, I might have pulled it down. Okay, I lied to you. Your prompt's not here. But it is, how have they changed the world? Make sure you state your sources. I apologize. I thought it was on this screen, but I guess it's not. But you need to state those sources if you haven't. That is part of the revision. Finally, we're going to jump over to the editing stage. The editing stage is just when we want to make sure everything's grammatically correct. This is where we use our cups. The big thing is, are you capitalize anything? Or do you have them in paragraphs? Have you indented? Since we're using Google Docs, have you went over up to tools and you used your spelling and grammar check to fix any errors? If you haven't, you need to fix them now. Okay, we want this to be the best possible paper that it can be at the end of today. As soon as you're finished today, it's done. You're finished. And so really you'd be submitting it and you'd be done. Now, yes, it's true. You could come back in a couple of months and say, I think I'll open this up and see if I can make it better. That's great. But this should be a really solid piece by the time you're finished with it today. So anyway, now you are, after you do these things, you are finished with your essay. And so we won't do another one until after e-learning. And so anyway, I hope this writing process is getting easier for you all. We will continue to do it. And by the end of the year, you all will be, every single one of you will be an awesome writer. All right. Thanks, boys and girls.